guess we'll restart
We'll
that.
restart that one.
What?
I hit record and you're like,
Oh, sorry.
and I was like, well, maybe that'll be the intro, but then you went on a little bit long. All right, we're here. It's snowy outside. It's winter, and this is episode 105.
The Ultimate Deck Podcast. Need a show about outdoor living? This is where it's at with your hosts, Shane Chapman and Way Laurent. Thank you for tuning in. Now let the show begin. Yeah. The Ultimate Deck Podcast.
Wait, the rent. Yeah. Shane Chapman. Yeah.
I listened a little closer this week. Yeah, that's pretty good. I think I'm going to actually introduce myself like that from
You
now
didn't
on.
realize your name was actually in the intro now?
No, I did, but I never listened to it. You know what I mean? Like, there's hearing it, and then there's listening.
Wait, the rent.
There's really listening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you
Usually-
finally listened.
Usually I hear it. Today
Now I
I
listened
listened
to it. Yeah.
You'll be familiar with this listening and hearing concept,
Oh,
right?
completely, yeah. I am very familiar with it. In fact, don't listen to the lyrics of WAP with your kids around.
Right?
Right. Why would you not do that?
That's actually that's not even close to as bad as Baby It's Cold Outside.
Oh, right?
Yeah, right?
That one's way worse. Get that shit off
Get
the air.
it off the air.
Now.
Can you believe that? That's maybe one of my favorite memes of the year is that hypocrisy. Like, holy shit.
You should sing us a few lines.
No, I
Which one?
Baby, it's cold outside.
No. I don't
need to
that's
get
the only
banned.
line that I know. But last year we were all up in arms, not all of us.
my arms were just fine.
The loud
last year.
left.
Yeah.
Up in arms about Baby It's Cold Outside being super offensive because how
dare you?
misogynistic that is. But yo, WAP! Let's go. Anyway, welcome to the show today. It's we're under snow finally. We held off for a while, but I don't know when this one's coming out, a couple weeks from now, but today is November something, 12th. And it's happened. We got a big snowstorm this past weekend.
Day after Remembrance Day.
Yeah,
It is.
exactly.
And so we're buried now. Not buried, but Saskatoon is buried.
Saskatoon is buried.
Saskatoon got a lot of snow.
So, but it's not going away. Usually we get like a snowfall or two that kind of melts away because it's not really ready yet, but it's just, it's a chilly day or something. It happens to rain that day. I don't think this one's going anywhere. This is a lot all at once.
Nope.
And the
Here we are.
temperature's dropped and I don't think they're coming back. So,
Yeah.
so it is what it is. I don't know. What
Did you pluck your eyebrows?
I
Yeah.
didn't. Like, not me personally. I got my eyebrows plucked. Not plucked.
Did you?
Whatever you...
I haven't been this close to
Threaded.
you.
Threaded.
Okay.
I got them threaded.
Someone threaded your eyebrows.
Someone did thread my eyebrows. Not something I would take on myself.
Would you do it again?
I've done it before.
Oh, okay.
So,
What?
yes.
Oh, we learn something new about Shane every day.
So since you've been doing this stuff, I probably haven't because I haven't done it since COVID's been here. But so yesterday was a holiday in Canada
And the US.
and the Veterans Day in the States, just different. They call it a different thing. And so we actually had our babysitter come over and watch the kids yesterday afternoon anyway, so that JC and I could go out and get a little Christmas shopping. Like, we're on the frickin' ball this year. Christmas shopping done yesterday a little bit.
Wow.
Went for coffee and went and got our
Got your
eyebrows
eyes
threaded.
did.
Together. It was a date
Not at
thing.
the same time, but at the one
Same
after
time.
the other. Yeah, it wasn't like a couple's threading where you're holding hands and there's like two ladies there like, shrimp. This is so romantic. But so she's like, you should go to South of the Mall. And like, you want to go get your eyebrows done? I was like, if you're going to go get yours done, then I'll also get mine done. But it doesn't matter to me if that's what we do.
So when you go to get your eyebrows threaded, do you take that person out for dinner or supper?
Who? The
Your
person
date.
threading the
No, your date.
Could be supper.
Well, here's the great.
Like, what did you have for
Probably
a
had
meal?
lunch. My guess is they had lunch.
Lunch.
No, we had beef stroganoff. No, because this was the afternoon. But when the babysitter came over, she made supper for us. So it was like a win-win-win.
Oh yeah, you don't have
Win.
a babysitter. You have a nanny.
Correct. Yeah.
That's
Nanny-
there's a big difference.
Yeah, but nanny sounds like I'm making money though. And so
I don't have a nanny.
dinner.
Wade, do you have a nanny?
No need.
See?
Dinner.
It'd be silly if I did. JJ be on to me for sure.
What's with the French maid outfit nanny we have now? Never mind.
Yeah.
So anyway, so funny story. My wife goes into the little chair thing to get her eyebrows did, and I went and sat in an open chair to hang out and read my phone. And I didn't even have my first app open. I didn't even have Instagram on the screen yet. And all of a sudden, Fraser, our store manager, walks up. He's like, "What are you doing?" And he's wearing a mask, which is awesome because he doesn't like to. But he was in the mall, happened to be in the mall. He's like, "What are you doing?" Just hanging out in a chair. I was like, waiting for the wife to get her eyebrows done. He's like, "Well, that's funny. And then what?" And I was like, "Well, then I'm next." He's like, "Yeah, really?" Yep. So anyway.
So you couldn't convince Fraser to get his eyebrows?
I didn't
threaded?
try.
Oh, okay.
I didn't try, no. But anyway, thanks for being very observant. It took until we were sitting 18 inches
Well,
away.
we haven't been this close yet today.
They're on point,
Yeah.
he says.
On point eyebrows.
They actually are.
Yeah.
Like,
They
and I'm
actually
pointing
are.
at them.
Yeah, you clean them right up.
It's pointed.
I told my wife afterwards, it's like, we were done and we started walking around the mall. I was like, boy, that ever feel better. Like, I thought I was losing my vision. It was just the hairs hanging in front of my eyes. It's like bright and clear in here now. Little chilly. Lost my face shield.
Oh, man.
Anyway.
Did you do anything fun yesterday, Briz?
No, I sat at home and took in the Remembrance Day live streams.
Gotcha.
And?
So that's not fun, I guess.
Not fun, but it's
respectful.
It's a good thing to do.
Good thing to do.
Yeah.
I exercised my freedoms. Yeah. I went and played indoor golf, and then we went to Everyday Kitchen, local little donut shop.
Damn, I didn't know if they're going to be open yesterday. We talked about going there too.
I feel like a lot of places were open, but I just don't think it's kosher to be like, "Hey, we're open."
Yeah, right.
You don't want to really brag. You know what I mean? You want to be like, "Yeah, we're open."
Yeah, we're open on
You
Remembrance
should
Day.
be open. Like nobody else is working, so
Yeah,
it's a
exactly.
good idea. So we went there. You guys do another podcast. You should actually talk to them and get them on there. They got a pretty cool story.
They were on the list, and
We just haven't got to.
I believe we have talked to them.
Have we?
Anyway, I'm not sure. They're on our list, and I thought earlier in the year we talked to them, and I was like, I don't know why that didn't happen yet.
So
But
they
yes.
did a presentation at JJ's work, and it was all about being like innovative and how to overcome struggles. And so they talk about that, and it was awesome. Like, it was awesome.
Cool.
The one guy was in a marketing. He was with a marketing firm, and like the husband. It's a husband and
Mark
wife team.
Schmelinsky.
Mark.
He
Yeah.
was in a-
Schmelinsky?
Schmelinsky. Yeah.
sold out, and then started working in the Everyday Kitchen. So they were making these donuts in their house. Takes 48 hours to make one, right? Because you have to. They're all sourdough donuts, so they rise and then you cook them. And so, anyways, she was like selling out of donuts before they could even like sell them. You know what I mean? She was trying to sell them on Instagram DMs, and it was like she couldn't make enough fast enough. So then they opened the store and blah blah. So yesterday, having a donut and a coffee was like really good. Sitting there at the table, they share a space with this Meld, right? There's another restaurant that's in there.
Oh yeah.
So they share their kitchen and they share the space.
Oh.
So in the morning, it's like donuts and coffee. Afternoon, evening is like
Wait, the
lunch.
same space turns into Meld?
No, it's in this, like Meld is there the whole time. So they have one counter that you walk up to that is Everyday Kitchen, and then
But they share
40 feet
They
over.
share the kitchen.
So that's changed?
Yeah.
That's always not been I haven't
Yeah,
been
I
there
think
for a
that-
few months, like since before COVID.
I think it's
I
always.
believe
I think that space
Has it
has
always been set up like
there.
that?
I don't know if Meld has really promoted that they were there yet.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think they have. So anyways, we're sitting at the table, and I had coffee, and I finished the donut. And then this Meld the guy comes over with a bowl of soup.
His name is Meld. And then Meld comes over.
The Meld guy comes over, and he brought soup.
Soup.
And then?
Brisket barley soup. It was amazing.
Okay.
Amazing. So, a little bit tricky because I had finished the donut and then had the soup.
You went backwards.
I wish I would have had it the other way around.
Yeah. Well,
But
So
anyways,
you had
the soup-
you had your dessert first.
so the soup's amazing. So now what's going to happen is we're all going to have to go there and eat from Meld because he makes amazing soup and he has some pizzas that he makes. And yeah,
So
yeah, I didn't know anything
what's-
about them.
What is Meld? Do you know? Like, because I don't really know.
the idea behind it is that he just sources all of his stuff locally, right? It's
Cool.
like local food, and he's taking all of his products from close or as close as he can get them.
That's what
Locally.
local
That
means.
is the yeah.
What
Yeah.
was that one?
There you go.
Dictionary
Have you
definition.
ever have you ever heard of that diet that's like a 100-kilometer diet or something like that?
That's
And
crazy.
100 kilometers.
You source everything you eat from within
Oh.
100
I
kilometers.
don't know if
of
it's
it.
I see.
100 kilometers, but
It is 100 kilometers.
is that what it
Yeah.
is? It's
I think they call it the 100 mile.
100-mile diet. And so you can't
The
eat,
143 kilometer diet.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
Not as
so
cool.
You can't eat anything outside. Not that you can't, but you just try as hard as you can to have everything from within 100 miles.
So what's the rule? Can you eat produced goods that maybe didn't source ingredients, or does it have to be like every ingredient's got to be sourced within 100
Well, the
miles?
idea is that you would try to get all of your stuff locally, right? So you would find like crab apples instead of getting apples, you would try to have crab apples, and then
I think the biggest thing is salt. Not everywhere can you get salt.
correct. That'd be a little bit tricky.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Okay,
Anyways,
local, yeah. So supported the local economy yesterday.
good.
Played some
We
Missouri
didn't,
golf.
and this is why it came up, because we headed back towards Harbor Landing, and the intention was always to go for a coffee together and just like whatever. And we ended up at Starbucks, and I was like, it's too like we should have went to a local place, but there's not really. I don't know if there's much for local places in Harbor Landing for coffee shops. Is there
Brewed Awakening.
I was like, is there a Brewed Awakening
Brewed
down there?
Awakening's in that hotel. That would be your local
Oh, right.
choice.
I forgot about that place.
Pick one up on
They
the way
don't.
home today.
They don't feel like a local coffee shop is the problem. in
They
my
don't
opinion.
feel
They
like it.
definitely are.
But
They
they've done-
definitely
that
are.
just means they've done well. Like
Yeah.
they've got a brand that seems to be like it doesn't feel local. Anyways, I totally forgot about that one. We should have done that. But anyway,
Next time.
next time in 2 years from now, when we get 3 hours together without the kids.
I mean, you got a nanny. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Well, she's only there when we work though, usually. So
Hooky.
anyway, yeah.
Every Wednesday.
Wade, plug your ears.
You don't have to. You just tell me you're not coming in. I was like, yeah, man, do that. I think we should take every Wednesday off, you and I. That break in the middle of the week is pretty good. Like
Yeah.
work a couple days, then take a day off, then work a couple days.
Take 2 days off.
Wasn't the worst, that's
Yeah.
for sure. Okay, well, enough about our life. How about we find out about the world? Just so you know, Mom, I'm working on something very, very big. What is happening? Very important. You're going to be very proud. We can't hear it. Are we not supposed to be able to hear it?
I thought we could tell you the truth.
I don't know if it's happening right now.
It is happening.
What's happening on there?
It played on there.
Okay, well, I'll take your word for it.
I thought it was going to play on here too, to tell you the truth, but we didn't get any sound.
Okay, well, let's get on with it.
Okay.
World news.
Sorry, I had it working before. First thing in the worldly news, U.S. election brings internet fame to Japanese mayor Joe Biden.
Ooh. Yep.
His
Spelling errors.
His real name is Mayor Yutaka Umeda of Yamato. And the Japanese characters that make up his name spell Joe Biden. So
Okay.
he's trending in Japan right now.
What do you mean it spells out Joe Biden?
Because it's like every Japanese character is like a sound, right? So when people are typing out Joe Biden or Joe Biden in Japanese, that's what it comes up as his name.
Huh, okay. Well, good for him.
So now he's trying to strike up some extra attention for his
He's trying to get
town
a
of
blue-
Yeah.
14,000 people.
He's trying to get a blue check
Absolutely.
mark on Instagram.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay, so that wasn't a great story. Throwback story, though. Do you remember when we discussed the Toy Hall of Fame?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so they chose
Okay.
out of their 12 finalists. Their 12 finalists were Bingo, Briar Horses, Light Bright, Masters of the Universe, My Little Pony, Risk, Sorry, Tamagotchi, Yahtzee, and Baby Nancy, Sidewalk Chalk, and Jenga.
How many were they allowed to pick?
3.
3 of those. There's some big hitters in there. So
the winners, the top 3 are Baby Nancy, which is just like a baby doll. Sidewalk Chalk.
Sidewalk
Oh.
chalk is big.
see, we had a debate about that one though.
Yeah,
last
is
time.
Sidewalk Chalk a toy?
Because it's like, yeah, I don't know.
Are crayons a toy?
By the definition of what made the Toy Hall of Fame.
Apparently.
Yes.
Who
And-
were we to disagree?
And
I
the last
suppose?
one is a board game. And which one do you think it is?
Risk.
Risk, Sorry, Yahtzee, Bingo,
Yahtzee.
or Jenga?
Yahtzee.
That's a big one.
Yahtzee.
It's Jenga.
That's
You
not
guys
a board
both
game.
lose.
Is Jenga? Jenga's not a board game.
Of course it is. It's, like you clearly have a definition of a board game being one that has a board.
Right.
By that definition, sure, it's not, I guess, but it's a like.
It's
What
made
else
of-
do you call
it's
it?
made
So
of
what do you call
wood.
it? Just a game? Like a family game.
Is pick up
guess so.
sticks a board game?
Yes.
Really?
I think you would consider Pickup Sticks a board game.
You don't move any pieces around a board. I guess that's where I struggle.
You're
It's like-
awfully.
It was a board game. I just thought that a board game is like you move pieces around a board.
so it's
Monopoly
just
is a
game.
board game.
Right.
Jenga to me is just a game.
It's just a game,
That's what I think.
like football.
I
That's
obviously
just a
don't.
game.
Right. It's not a board game.
It's Jenga and football.
By the same merit, it's a board game. Oh no, it's not because it doesn't come in a box.
I've got
Oh, I probably never mind. I don't even need to. Yeah. Go
there's
ahead.
not often that I am incapable of picking a side, but on this one I'm just like, you guys have it. I have no passion one way or another, but whether we call these things board games or not, I'm out.
Okay.
so
So there it is, Jenga. Well,
Jenga.
Jenga's a great game.
Jenga's a great game. So, do you guys hate potholes?
Yeah.
What would you do to fix potholes? What were you gonna
Fill
do?
them in.
Fill them in. A man in
put a Christmas tree in them.
that is exactly
Oh,
a man
weird.
from Massachusetts did. He began planting Christmas trees in potholes on
Gets
Saturday night.
So mad at his city council. He's like, "That's it, Christmas tree,
Yeah.
Christmas tree."
Kevin Martin decided that he was going to plant Christmas trees when on his way to pick up dinner, he flattened all 4 of his tires in one drive.
Come on. You're driving like a damn idiot at that point. Come on.
Who keeps going when you have 3 flat ones?
Yeah. Boom. Like, I get that there's places that have potholes that they should do a better job of fixing them, but if you blow 4 tires out in one trip, you've got to accept some of that responsibility.
Right?
Yeah.
And he planted them on his way to work on Monday morning.
Awesome. Good for
So
him.
now there are 4 Christmas trees in the middle of the road.
Good for him.
I wish this was all caught in film. Boom! Oh man, I blew a tire. Oh well, gets back in. Like, why was he even still trying?
I don't know.
This is not,
That's so
gets in again. Bam! Oh, seriously, again? And then 2 more times?
So I have one more, and it's about the coronavirus.
Oh, good. Goody. Good.
We haven't talked about that in a while.
Exactly,
Yeah,
right?
goody.
People really can't get over the name of the newly approved coronavirus drug. The name is Banlavimab. And so I didn't get this at first. So
Banlavimab. What?
Yep.
Is that it?
Yeah.
I guess it's
Congratulations to David Lee Roth for winning Neymar Corona coronavirus drug contest. And then there's a bunch of people singing "Oh Black Betty."
Banlavimab.
Yeah,
Oh, Black Betty.
that's exactly.
Wow.
So
Okay.
that's the drug that's going to save the world.
Yeah.
It wasn't a great week for news. It was like pretty
slow week.
entirely
Yep.
sucked in by the U.S. election.
Yeah. Well,
There's barely anything happening down there. Boy, oh boy.
coronavirus hasn't really been talked about out of the U.S. much lately. It's just
No,
been
not
like
really.
Biden got in and it went away.
That's
Weird.
what happens. That's what happens, right?
I don't even know if he's in. Enough. Today's topic. I feel like I'm so departed from this today, and we're a long ways in. It's winter out there. If you haven't noticed, it's official. I know it's officially not winter for another month yet, and a bit. But there's snow on the ground here, and by the time this airs, people are going to be starting to transition if that's what they do, or changing the way they do things because it's getting cold outside. And so today's topic, Wade, is 17.
Yeah.
You guys actually have a numbered list?
Yeah.
17 tips for contractors for working in the winter.
Here you go. It was supposed to be 7.
Because,
For working in the winter?
yep.
Yeah, when you
So last week's list was
Yeah.
what you should do with your off season, and number 1 on the list was keep working.
Keep working.
So this list is for those guys,
Continuity train here.
Yep.
right?
Wow.
Mm-hmm. And then next week we'll just like completely out.
Do more Mad Libs.
Gone. No.
Yeah.
I don't
We'll
think
just
we
do
should
a whole
more
episode
Mad
of
Libs.
worldly news. So 17 tips for contractors. Number 1, Wade, layer up. This is the obvious one.
Yep.
Get dressed.
Everybody who's ever been outside understands this.
So working outside in the cold is not that bad unless you're cold, unless you don't dress appropriately.
Yep.
Right?
That's it.
I don't work outside anymore, but now when I walk my dog in the winter, if I dress appropriately, throw my stuff on, plan to be like overly dressed, I don't mind taking the dog on a long walk in the winter. If I throw on a hoodie and it's minus 24, then I hate it.
Yeah, not ideal.
But that was my fault. Working in the winter is not much different. If you're going to be working outside, layer up, put the long johns on, get a nice pair of warm boots. That's so huge. Keep your feet warm.
Yep.
And if you dress appropriately, you can always shed layers if you have to, if you get working too warm, but you can't put stuff back on that you don't have.
Yeah.
So layer up, wear warm boots.
Tricky, right? You want to
That's
have
the one.
like a good base layer too, because something that wicks sweat away from the surface. And
Yeah. So I found that to be huge. I was working in minus 20 with jeans, but if I just put a layer of long johns underneath, and then
Thermal
I
underwear.
still was able to move around fine. I didn't feel like I was like
do you think long johns is
Restricted.
like a Canadian term? Do you think
I wondered
like
if it might
thermal
have been
underwear? People would know what that
Do
was.
people call it thermal
Base layer?
underwear?
a base layer.
Base layer. I believe that it is actually called thermal underwear,
I
like
just-
a hoodie, not a bunny hug.
Oh, wow.
You know?
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Long johns.
Yeah,
I'm going with that.
Long johns. If you are from somewhere and you didn't know what long johns were, now that's what you call them.
Now
From
you know.
on, because that's
Now
way,
you know.
way cooler than thermal base layer.
What are you climbing Mount Everest?
Yes.
So layer up, wear some warm boots. Number 2 is heated gear. Let's get on that heated gear train, because there's a lot of different types of heated gear out there now.
Yes. Put a little battery pack in. Boom.
Yeah.
Warm jacket.
Heated, like clothing?
Yes, sir.
Wow.
So the obvious one, the one I liked actually the most, there's heated jackets. I found I liked it. Milwaukee, like everybody makes them now. Makita makes them, DeWalt makes them, Milwaukee makes them. They've all made them for a long time. I think Milwaukee was kind of like the first to kind of really bring it mainstream.
Mm-hmm.
I actually had a heated vest. I had the heated jacket as well as the heated vest. I felt like the heated vest kept the heat closer to you, and then you could just put on whatever jacket you want over top of that.
I think that's a good call.
Yeah.
Fits
So-
a little bit tighter.
Fits tighter. Keeps it like nice and tight to your core, and then you layer up whatever you want on top. Heated
Yep.
vest, like long shirt on, heated vest, hoodie, and then your jacket.
Yeah.
And that kept me nice and warm. And it doesn't ever get like, there's different settings. You can set it however hot you want, but I never found that I got too hot with it on.
Right.
It's just like, you just didn't get cold. So sometimes you're like, is this thing working? But it's like, well, yeah, it's working because you're not freezing right now.
How long do the batteries last usually? Like that would be my concern.
A full working day.
Yeah.
So they don't like, they use like the same battery off your tool.
Ooh.
They use like a 12 volt, or maybe some of them will even do an 18 volt battery. So it'll keep you warm all day.
And you can charge your batteries because they're the same from your tool.
Correct. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What about
So yeah,
gloves?
if you ran out of batteries, you just go take one off the charger and recharge your pack.
Gloves is recent. That's a new development. They have gloves now and boots and
Heated socks at
Socks.
Costco I read the other day.
Wow.
So if you can keep your hands, your core, and your feet warm, you're laughing.
Yeah, definitely.
Nothing else freezes.
it's always it's almost always your core, right? Everybody says if you can, not everybody, but like winter survivalists always talk about keeping your core warm, and if you can keep the core warm, then the blood will flow out to your appendages, and it's like you don't have to buy $400 or $800 boots. Wear a proper base layer and a vest, and like dress
Yeah.
properly to keep your core and your neck warm, and
Yeah.
then you're good to go.
Then you're
Yeah.
good to go.
So any heated gear you can get your hands on will make your life a lot easier.
Yeah.
So, number 3, set up before you get out there, like before the season even starts, set your go, no go temperatures. Decide now what's too
yeah.
cold to work in, so that you don't find yourself mentally questioning all the time when you're out there and you get a little bit colder. You're like, oh, I don't want to work today. Decide beforehand. They're like, hey, if it's minus 20 and windy, we don't work. And that way you can look at the forecast too and be like, oh, it looks like Friday's probably going to be a snow day anyway, or a no-go day. And you can plan to do other things inside. Do some quoting, do some estimating, do other stuff.
Get
Take
your
a day off,
eyebrows
whatever.
did.
Get your eyebrows done. Do whatever you want to do. But that's how we used to do it. It was kind of like if it was going to be like minus 25 and calm or colder, or minus 20 and not calm or colder, then it was just like, well, we don't work that day.
Yeah, wind chill factor in at blah.
Yeah.
If it's 25 with the wind chill, we're not working.
Yeah.
So
Because it's just like at that point, you can't wear enough clothes. If it's minus 35, I'll take the day off.
Yeah, just take the day off.
Yeah. Because it's not consistently, it's
think
not going to stay that cold, right?
this is like a concept we got from that book Built to Sell, right? And then Built to Sell always talks about setting your decision, like making your decision about what you're going to sell your company for when you're not emotional. And so much the same as when are you going to work? What is the
Yeah.
temperature? Like make that decision out early, and then when it happens is like, well, it happened. Here we are. This is the temperature. I already said I wasn't doing this. So
Yeah.
boom, done.
I agree.
There's a comment in here from Michael 1492 says, with the cold weather coming, is it better to build a composite deck now or wait until it warms up to make sure your joints stay tight? That's a good question, but your joints aren't going to stay tight regardless. You actually have a better shot on them staying tight when you put it out in the cold because it's contracted as much as it's going to contract.
Yeah.
Wow.
We're going to get to that. We're going to answer this. We're going to answer that question a bit more thoroughly with one of our points, but so I'm just going to leave it for now. But just to acknowledge that question was in there, and Michael O asked it. And
Michael O, we can read. Thanks.
Number 4,
Coming
budget
right up.
more time. So there's no doubt that building layered up with gloves on removes some efficiency. It's going to take you a little bit longer to get out there and do the things that you normally do.
Just everything, right? You're bulkier, generally speaking. Like you have more clothes on, so it's harder to walk around. There's snow on the ground. It's like you have to like trudge through all of that stuff.
Yeah, walking around. Even walking is
Slower.
tougher if the snow is in the backyard and it's
Yeah.
deep, right? So budget a little bit more time per job. What that number is depends on your area, I guess. If you have 3 feet of snow in the backyard and your lumber is buried under it, well, that's going to take a lot more time than the guy who doesn't get much snow. It just gets cold or something. But know that it's going to take a little bit more time than it does under perfect conditions.
Batteries don't last quite as long, so you're often at the charger a little bit more often. And
Yeah.
Now, here's a big one. Number 5 is get yourself set up with a heater in the trailer or a box. You were mentioning when you were framing houses, you guys would build a box.
yeah, it was just a wood box with an insulated tarp that laid over top of it. We put the air compressor in there. And so the air compressor generated enough heat off of the engine to keep that box warm. But then we'd keep adhesives and stuff in there, like tapes and glues. And
So
even
bunch of.
back in the day, there was lots of guys that talked about keeping their spikes, their nails, in a fire. Did you ever hear about this? This goes way back before our time, but they used to have coffee cans and they would keep their Ardox nails in a coffee can in a fire. And then as a framer, you could always keep a handful of nails that were warm, right? And so your exposed hand would always be holding hot nails.
Hot nails.
And so you wouldn't have to worry about wearing a glove on your hand that held the nail because the nails were hot.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, we used to do that surveying. We used to heat up the pins before you put them in the ground because they'll go all the way down. Way easier.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good one. So the heated trailer, the box, throw a heater in the trailer or build a little shelter for stuff for a variety of reasons. You can warm up in there. If you need it, if it's just the heated vest isn't working, whatever, you can go hide in the trailer for a bit, crank the temperature up and heat up yourself. Charging the batteries, they won't charge if they're too cold. Yeah. So you got to have your battery chargers and your batteries stored somewhere where there's some heat so you can keep those in the trailer, keep that heated. Thaw your adhesives, like you said, or keep them from freezing.
Yep.
The compressor needs to not freeze up on you, so you got to keep that somewhere warm.
Yep.
And I had put a note in there that you mentioned already. I was like, remember that the compressor itself will pump out some heat.
Yes.
Like we've all sat around a compressor before with our gloves off, being like warming your hands up from the exhaust into the compressor. So that's a quick little fix there too.
Yep.
Number 6, mental positivity. So this is one of the biggest ones too. I'm reminded of the biggest job that we ever did in the winter, which is in town here. And every day we'd show up, the homeowner was like, what are you doing here? Like, go home. This is ridiculous. Why are you guys working in this? But it was because she wasn't in the mentality to be outside working.
Yep.
We were. She was in her cozy house and thinking like, how awful would it be to be outside right now? I'm so warm. I'm like working at the table. But for us, it was like we showed up ready to work. We were in that mindset that it was like the cold was no longer a factor. We had made peace with the fact that we were working in the cold.
Yeah.
We had done what we put all these tips in place. And so we show up with the Timmies, like with a coffee. And like that
Ready
coffee's
to go.
cold within 7 minutes. It's like it's ice cold 7 minutes later when you set it down. But it's like
good
you
to
show
use-
up and the cold isn't even, you don't even talk about it.
No.
It's
Well,
good to
we're
use
gonna-
Tim's cups in the cold too because they're so thin they don't have that sleeve on. You can use them to keep your hands warm, right?
Yeah. Burning hot coffee for like 30 seconds.
Yeah. So
Attitude is everything.
That's right.
attitude 100%.
I
And
thought
so-
planning was everything.
Well, till today.
Oh, okay.
Now
Your
it's
attitude of boat planning is really, really, really important.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? Like if you show up and you're a miserable, like that's exactly how your day is going to go.
Exactly.
Yeah, just showing up with a positive mindset is going to make your life a lot more enjoyable over winter, more than any of these other things. Number 7 is account for material stability. So this is what we were talking about here with Michael O. So things sometimes, depending on what you're working with, materials shrink or expand. They have the thermal stability to them. some of them are better than others. Do you have to worry about your lumber doing much in the cold? No.
Not really.
Lumber's more driven by humidity than
Yeah.
temperature. So do you have to account that, oh, this lumber is going to shrink a bunch? Yeah, maybe, but it's not because it's cold. Composite decking, yeah, that's going to shrink for sure. Vinyl siding, that's shrinking. It's going to crack a lot easier if you're going to, if you're nailing up vinyl siding. The material might chip on a saw if your blade's not. So you just got to account for these things.
Yeah,
Like
the PVC's, it might be a little more brittle, right? It's like a harder, colder, more fragile product, right?
Yeah. So to Michael's point, do you have to account for that? Is it bad to install composite in the winter? No, but with some composite, you might need to leave a gap at your joints or something, leave an expansion gap. Many of the manufacturers will say if you're installing this below X degrees, that you should leave a 1/8 gap at your joints to allow the material to expand and not buckle when it runs into each other. So yeah, you should do that. Other people, like AZEC, I believe, says don't leave gaps. Doesn't matter when you're putting it in. Don't leave gaps. Like the material's stable enough. It won't, screw it down lots or whatever, and it won't cause a problem. Something like Decorators, which is very thermally stable. It doesn't really shrink and expand much. A 1/16 of an inch on, like less than a 1/16 on a 20-foot board in the middle of winter to summer, like that's not enough for it to do anything. If it bumps into something, it's just not, it's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
It's not trying to move enough that it's going to buckle. So you just have to account for these things. Sure, you might need to leave a little bit of spacing in the composite deck, but that's the only major thing. And how you're cutting things. Make sure your blade's sharp. You might have to score things. Pre-drill your screws when you put them in so it doesn't chip the cap if it's a PVC board, because PVC boards do have a very hard cap on them. Sometimes it's like acrylic or whatever, and which is a good thing because it's very durable, but when it's cold, it can also chip.
Yeah, I think with your composites, you don't have to worry as much about the chipping that we're talking about when you run the old track saw over top of the board. You usually don't see that chipping on the HDPE. I had to say the whole thing. High density polyethylene. Anyway, so when you go over top of the composites, they usually don't chip, but a PVC usually will when it's that cold.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We should get rid of the acronyms and always pronounce acronyms in our store when we're talking to people.
HDP.
So what's the difference between these two? Well, this one's a hood P and this one's a PVAC. And so what's better? I kind of like the MMK. Number 8. That's a good one. Remember that your speed square is an ice scraper.
And it seems silly, but like that actually, it does more scraping than it does drawing straight lines.
100%. In the winter, that is you. That is no longer a speed square, it's an ice scraper. And everybody who's worked in the winter can attest to this. This is how you get ice off of lumber or decking.
Yep.
There is no more efficient tool to do
Than your speed square.
than your speed square.
Because it's in your pouch.
It's ready
Unless
to go.
you're Shane. Shane doesn't wear a pouch. He likes to just drop stuff.
Now,
But it's at least close because
if you have a really nice speed square, you don't want to get banged up, or you might want to carry a second one, a cheapo, to do your ice scraping. If you want to keep your other one in good shape.
Why wouldn't you just carry an ice scraper if you're going to carry 2?
Nope. Come on, Bryce.
I'm just-
What are you?
Nope. He hasn't been on a job site.
yeah, I'm not I don't build decks.
Yeah. Number 9, have a tiger torch on hand or some sort of torch on hand. The actual use of this is to, I don't know what this actually might be, but a tiger torch can make quick work of getting ice off of things that it's not supposed to be on. Now, you got to be careful.
Because it's fire.
Right, and it's flammable material.
But it's all frozen.
You're not going to want to go tiger torch off your composite deck, probably.
The top
But
of
if you
it.
have a
But the
pile
back
of
of it, you
lumber
could.
that's all kind of frozen together, tiger torch might make quick work of that.
Yeah.
If you're out and you have your deck all framed and you need to tape joists, and you got a snowfall, there's ice on the top, a tiger torch can make quick work of drying off the tops of your joists and your beams to make sure that you can get on to the next step of taping your joists or putting on your rain escape, whatever. So the tiger torch can just make quick work of getting rid of ice that's causing you some problems.
Yep.
So, not a bad idea to have one kicking around.
Not at all.
Number 10, remember that things are going to be slippery. So there's a lot of things that are going to change when you start loading up your clothes too, and that your dexterity and your whole, your balance is thrown off a little bit on these types of things. So if you're wearing big pants and big boots and big whatever, and you're used to wearing shorts and steel toes and a tank top, you're a little bit more nimble that way than you are when you're loaded up full of gear and your whole body's bigger. You're throwing yourself off a little bit. And the things that you're walking on are now much more slippery. So walking joist is a little bit more dangerous than it was before.
Yeah.
So this whole thing is just about like, remember, you need to be a little bit more careful when you're out here now.
Yeah.
You don't want to come ripping up to the edge of the deck with no railing on it that's 12 feet in the air on fiber on like Ipe decking.
You'll be gone.
Tough to stop.
Tough to stop.
Not so bad if the deck's only 36 inches in the air, but if it's
right.
144 inches,
There he goes.
whole new story.
As long as there's a good snow pile at the bottom, right?
fired.
That's fun.
Before he hits the ground, fire him. That is funny. Okay, number 11. Invest in some good, high quality permaflex, I'll call them, or like always flexible extension cords and compressor hoses.
Yeah.
So there are some good. What's the one we used to use is called like a Yellow Jacket, I think, the extension cords, Yellow Jacket extension cords.
Those are great
They
cords.
stay like pliable up to minus 35 or whatever it is, because like the extension cords will break if they freeze.
Yeah,
a lot
they
of
do,
them.
right?
If they're not designed to be flexible and they get all rigid, they can just break. You break the wires, you break the sheathing, and they're just a pain in the ass to drag around behind you if the thing's all frozen up and stiff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So-
yeah, because it's like hooked onto stuff. It's all bent and
It's all bent.
you can't get
Yeah.
it straightened.
Yeah.
It's just a ball. It's like a ball of Christmas lights, essentially.
Yeah.
So it's worth it to go spend your money on some good quality extension cords that say that they stay flexible at cold temperatures.
Yeah. For
It's
sure.
it's a safety thing, and it's just like way less frustrating. And then also with your hoses, because your compressor hoses can also get frozen up. You got them rolled up in a nice little round like hanging formation in your trailer, and you pull that thing off, and it's just like slam. It just stays
Same
in the
shit.
coil.
Right. How are you supposed to get it anywhere, right?
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
it's frozen.
Can't
Now you have to
unwind it.
drag the air compressor to 6 inches from the deck to
Yeah.
nail it.
We got a comment here from Fairly Good Constructions, Robert Fairley. How do you guys get the G-tape or Trex Protect to bond on frozen wet joists?
Why does he care how you get it to bond? He's only got to do the job fairly good. Like I feel like
It doesn't
that's the
have to
part
be
funny.
great, right?
I love that name.
Tiger Torch, right?
Simple
I mean,
answer
that's
is you
what-
don't.
Yeah. What
because
makes you better than the other guy? I don't know that I am, but I'm fairly good. I'm fairly good.
You don't. You can't bond tape to wet lumber. So the Tiger Torch comes into play on this one because you have to dry it out. The difference between G-tape, I guess I don't know this for sure, but what I do know for sure is that G-tape will stick at minus 40 as long as the product you're putting it to is dry. If it's wet or covered in ice, then that's no good.
Yeah.
I haven't played with the Trex tape at those temperatures. It's a butyl-based tape, correct?
You have.
Butyl?
You have out at Round Lake.
Oh, yeah, the Trex Rain
We
Escape.
had to heat
Yeah.
that stuff up. We were sitting there with a heat gun heating the tape as we were trying to put it
Heat
on.
the tape
Yeah,
up.
because it's butyl-based
Wow.
and it doesn't, like, it's not malleable at
Right.
minus 25.
Or maybe I'm thinking more of my other job too. Maybe we did have to heat that up a bunch. Maybe we got that on in time. But I know I've for sure been sitting with Rain Escape tape.
I
keeping
did
them
absolutely
in the trailer,
do it on
taking them home at
Gary's
night.
job.
Yeah.
I 100% did.
It won't stick real well. So
But G-tape will stick when it's cold.
yeah,
It
G-tape
doesn't
sticks crazy good.
all the time. But it has to be dry. If it's not dry, it doesn't matter what tape it is. It doesn't matter how amazing the product is. It can't stick to that.
Yeah.
So Tiger Torch is what I would use I would Tiger Torch the framing off. Scraper, use round 1 speed square, round 2 Tiger Torch.
Yeah.
And then it's dry and put the tape on.
And then
That's the
keep your tape in your heated trailer.
If it's G-tape, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
You can keep it outside. It makes
G-tape
no difference.
G-tape will be okay. But the other stuff like any butyl base or asphalt based tape, you've got to keep warm.
Yep.
Like even blue skin,
Blue
blue
skin,
skin, you need a
red
primer
zone.
for it to work below a certain temperature, which is like 10 degrees below. Like you need a primer for it to even stick. So
right.
yeah, keep them warm.
Yep.
Carly Matheson here says, make your own extension cords with cab tire flexible cords. So I'm not familiar with that, but
What's
it sounds like
cab
he
tire?
might, I don't know, but it sounds like he might have a tip there, a hot tip.
Sounds like we're selling extension cords.
Yeah, I was going to say, you guys should get into
coming
the-
right up.
Crofty 306 just joined, and I believe that's Croft. Is that Croft Electric?
I don't know.
So he would be able to speak to that a little bit too.
Sure.
But anyway, so maybe, I don't know, look into that. Maybe that's a good option. Number 12 is those hot shots, the hot shot packs, the little heated
Hot
packs.
shot packs.
I don't know what you call them. There's lots of different brands.
Hot hands.
Yeah,
Hot
there's
hands?
Hot
and-
hands.
There's both, right? There's hot hands and hot
So
shots. And
those things
hot packs.
are money.
They are.
Buy the big box of
Go to
from
Costco.
or wherever, right? And what we used to always do
hashtag
is-
shop local.
Yeah. What we used to always do was shake them up and put them in your palms of your gloves. So
Yeah.
you put your gloves on with the hot pack in the palm of your hand, and then that keeps your fingers warm enough.
Toasty warm.
And I would throw them in, I would tuck them in the toes of my boots.
Mm-hmm.
And then they keep your toes nice and toasty too. So those things are money. And then throwing down your underwear too, because you got to like stay ready.
Right, exactly. Don't want to get all bunged up.
Yeah.
So those things are absolutely, and they're cheap, right? You can fly through those, crack a few a day, whatever. They're worth
Yep, they're worth it.
it. Number 13 is that you may have to consider, depending on the job you're doing, you might need to hoard things in anyway. And so this is going to control a lot of these elements for you if you hoard the whole project in. I know guys like vinyl guys up in Saskatoon that do a lot of vinyl decking hoard their projects in all the time because they have to. Like they can't lay down that glue. They've got a Tiger Torch off and get everything dry and keep the temperatures warm so the glue works.
Correct.
And then give it like time to cure. And it won't do all of those things if it's freezing outside. So they hoard in their projects all the time, heat it up.
And so that's an additional cost you got to keep in mind, right?
Yep.
You have to
Mm-hmm.
the time to hoard,
So
the
if you-
amount of propane.
If you hoard for like a big project, do you think it would increase your efficiency or
Not enough to offset.
not enough to offset the cost?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that depends on the project, I guess. Hey,
Mm-hmm.
like if you can hoard that whole space in and you're on that job for a month or something, and it takes you whatever a day or two to hoard that thing in, but then the rest of the time you're in your t-shirt and you're like,
Well, and then there's no days off, right? Like if
Yeah.
the weather turns on you,
so it
you're
probably
okay.
depends. Yeah, probably depends. But for sure, it would be depending on the job a useful thing to do, maybe.
So just a quick interjection: cab tire cable is actually made from recycled rubber car or taxi cab tires. That's how it was first invented.
Okay.
So that's why it stays flexible.
Interesting. Okay,
So there you go.
We'll have to look it up.
there we go. Number 14. I couldn't read my own writing there. This was your idea. I jotted down, I was like, what does this say? You might need to go.
It started with blah, blah, blah.
You might need to tweak your contract a little bit because maybe there's some things that you can't do in the winter that'll have to wait till spring. So Wade's point was make sure you throw some sort of holdback clause into your contracts to say like, we're not going to finish this job because we can't do something until spring. So we're going to allow you to hold back 10, 15% of the payment or whatever, but you need to make sure you're going to get paid for what you were able to accomplish and you're not waiting till spring to get paid.
Yeah, and so my idea behind that was it was basically based around a set of stairs. It's like you can't land the stairs because the deck's not, whatever, the landscaping's not done or the ground isn't going to be done this winter. You want to build the whole deck, but you do need to build a set of stairs. And then, those stairs will go off to the edge of the deck, but they're just temporary, right? You need to be able to get paid for the 95% of work that you did.
Yep.
But anyways, it's just something to, it's a
think-
conversation to have.
I think that's good too because then it keeps you working as soon as the season opens too.
Sure, you got a set of stairs to go back
Right.
to.
Exactly. Like there's no.
Yeah. And you probably, like, just to add on to that a little bit, as far as like tweaking your contract or adding clauses in, you might want to put in there too, like just set the expectations that, hey, there's going to be some days where we're not here.
Yeah.
And this is going to go a little bit slower than you might expect. Like maybe you talk to somebody in the fall and they ask, how long is this going to take? And you told them 5 days, but now you're not building it till January. You might want to let them know like, hey, by the way, this is probably more like 7 days because things are going to slow down and we don't work if it's colder than minus 20. And that way you don't have to deal with somebody. You don't show up one day. They're like, where are you? I thought you said you were going to be here. It's like, dude, it's minus 37.
Right.
Have that conversation first and avoid those.
Then it's knowledge,
Right. Avoid those calls.
not an excuse.
Number 15. For deck builders, this one's important. Make sure your pile guy is good to go. So in some markets, you won't have to worry about this because the ground doesn't freeze enough or it doesn't freeze at all. In markets like ours or many Canadian markets, we're dealing with frost that's 3 feet, 6 feet, 7 feet deep. It's maybe not even possible that your guy has the equipment to do that.
Why do we live
I
here?
don't know. Everyday kitchen though, right? That's good.
Everyday kitchen, right? No such thing as a hurricane in Saskatchewan.
This is true.
ground doesn't move, like not dangerously so.
Not like earthquake
No
style.
earthquakes.
It's
Not
really
earthquake.
slow
No
up,
tsunamis.
really slow down.
Anyway, so this just make sure that your sub trades that you work with are also capable of working in the winter, because you don't want to book a deck in January and then you phone your pile guy and he's like, "What do you mean you want me to go out there and drive pile? I can't drive through 7 feet of ice."
Yeah, no dice.
No
So
dice.
they can't, like, it's doable. The guy we use here locally, he can do it, but he's had to invest in equipment to do it. So he needed to get a pulverizing bit on his machine to grind ice. And now this year he's invested in a heat rod, where he drills just a pilot hole down the ground, drops a rod in there, plugs it in, melts a hole out, he can drive a screw pile.
Nice.
So it's doable, but just make sure your guy has done that.
Right. He's good to go.
Number 16. This might be an option. I've never actually done this before, but I always thought about it. We bring our little propane heater out sometimes, but get a torpedo heater and point that thing at you. Point that thing at the area you're working in. So if you're kind of in the corner of a house or kind of whatever, working on a section of a privacy wall one day and you're not moving around too much, you could set up a heater and just blast heat towards you that way.
Yep.
Enough just to take the chill off, right? It's not going to keep you super hot.
You don't have to be hot. You don't have to be warm. You just have to be not cold.
Not cold.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be Hawaii. Right?
That's right.
And it isn't.
And it isn't.
Not even in July. So that can help. And the final one. Wait, holy.
That's a long
17.
list.
God.
That's
17.
That's basically what TC Dex was saying too.
14.
14? What the hell?
Yeah.
Drag it.
Well, there's a lot of tips.
Now I got to wait till next week to find out how to build a deck in the winter.
Number 17 is, and this is an obvious one, but make sure you keep some snow shovels and brooms in your trailer now. You may not need that kind of stuff. Obviously, you don't need a snow shovel in the middle of summer, but it can help if you get a snowfall overnight and you need to kind of clear things off real quick to clear your work area. Have those shovels and those push brooms or whatever in your trailer to kind of clean up the job site at the end of or start of the day too.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
makes everything else work a little bit easier. Plus, then you're not compacting snow over and over again, walking over it in your paths or whatever, and creating a bunch of hard, lumpy ice stuff. Like, it's just like good to keep a working path.
An ankle
cleared.
roller for sure.
Ankle roller.
Or even that, like shoveling a path from your trailer to your work site, because you might not be parked right beside it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the last big job I referenced a couple times here that we did, it was the backyard was down. It was elevated
walkout.
lower than the,
Walkout basement.
guess I could let people do that themselves with walkout. And so the path to get from our trailer up at the driveway down required going down a bunch of these large like flagstone steps or whatever. Well, those get packed up with snow and you're carrying stuff down with tools. Like, gets a little bit tricky. So keep things clear, keep things safe. Oh, a leaf blower, TC Deck says. Yeah, that's a good option too.
Yeah.
And actually, yeah, we used to have a little battery powered blower that would work quite well for light snows, a little Makita one. It would clear things off pretty easy too. So yeah, just a couple little hand tools to keep your job safe. And
So I guess that's a little different than in the summer, where you would try not to go over the same path over and over again.
potentially, yeah.
Or not. I don't know.
Yep. And I guess another tip too, here's number 18.
What?
Number 18.
What?
Phew.
Keep your lumber pile covered. So we would tarp our lumber pile at the end of the day, because then if it does snow, you just grab the tarp, shake it off, and all your lumber's still accessible. Because if stuff if you've got a big snowfall overnight and all of a sudden your lumber pile is covered in snow, it's like, yes, you could sweep it off and find it again, but it doesn't stop the fact that a bunch of snow got in between now and then it's going to melt and freeze and your lumber pile is going to be all full of crap and frozen together. So tarp your stuff. We would also leave a lot of our tools out there on site and just tarp them too. We felt safe doing that there, but you wanted to tarp them so that it doesn't get a bunch of like air crystals in your motors and whatever else.
Yep.
Keep tarps on things, keep them dry, keep the snow off. That kind of stuff. What else, Bryce? You got any to add?
I don't think so. I think you guys pretty much
use a
covered
window
everything.
scraper. Why? I still don't understand the speed square thing.
Yeah. Why 2 speed squares?
Yeah.
You're not going to use one of
I
them.
already have 2 speed squares.
Okay, there you go.
I never worried about a second speed square because I used like $8 aluminum speed squares, but I know some guys drop like $300 on their Martinez speed square. I don't know if I'd want to be scraping ice with that one.
Right.
That's where
Do
I
you
was
think
going
that
with
that speed square is actually more square than the $8 one that you had?
No.
Nope.
What's the point of buying a really
Exactly.
expensive speed square?
Those guys seem to love them though. Like they have like a little built-in level, which that's probably useful here and there, I suppose. But
I don't get it. So I did buy an expensive hammer. I had a stiletto finishing hammer, but when I bought that hammer, I was hanging doors. I was interior trim guy.
Yeah.
And it was in, duplexes and stuff. What's up? So I bought an expensive hammer. That made sense to me because I used to
What
hang,
part were you hitting? What were you hitting when you were hanging the
so
door?
I used finishing nails, like a 3-inch
Or
finishing
you were
nail.
actually driving nails. Okay.
Oh, okay.
And so it was just like every day you would like,
1964.
ooh, man, there was a lot of nails that went in. And so that made sense to me. And it was a lightweight hammer. It swung harder, right? It was a 14-ounce hammer that swung like a 26. And like that all made sense to me, but I don't know that I could find a way to justify a speed square that costs that much more.
Yeah.
Having a 26-ounce hammer and swinging that all day versus a 14-ounce hammer, it was like, well, that made sense. It was,
Yeah.
But I guess obviously somebody has been able to justify it, figure out why you would have a $300 speed square.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know either, but
I don't know.
I always like my little aluminum ones. So anyway,
TC Dex gave us a number 19. Move to Hawaii.
didn't they get? I was watching a thing. I don't know where it was, and they were talking about there's a mountain in Hawaii that like gets snow. There's like snowboarding. People go snowboarding in Hawaii because there is a mountain somewhere that gets a bit of snow. Like it's not like snowboarding in the Rockies, but
Right.
there's enough snow to cover the mountain that you can go snowboarding. And yeah, so they got snow there too.
That's new to me.
That's
I
news
didn't
to
know
me
that.
too.
Yeah. Yep. Anyway, that's it for us this week. Wade, you got anything else to leave these fine young people with?
I do want to know, what day are we going to be doing this on for everybody that's listening right now?
Well, yeah, maybe we should touch on that a bit, I guess. Our stores close on Saturdays, and that's when we were recording these for the winter. And so we're likely not going to continue to record these on Saturdays. I believe that we talked about doing it Wednesdays. What we overlooked was that the first Wednesday we were supposed to do it was a holiday.
Right,
So
exactly.
Today's the anomaly, but I think Wednesdays is likely going to be when we're going to try to do these.
We'll have to take a look at that. Next Wednesday is the 18th, and so we might have to do it early.
The next Wednesday won't be on either, but
So I leave on the 19th. I'm going to go moose hunting for a week.
Right.
So that's the Thursday, but the 18th is Wednesday. We should be able to do it that day. I have some other stuff.
Okay.
Well, if you're one of the
There you
brave
go.
ones who's going to tackle building in the winter this year, good on you. Write this list down. I think a lot of these tips are legitimately helpful to kind of make that be not as shitty. So we will see you next week.
Hey, thank you for listening to the Ultimate Deck Podcast. Now you know what we're about. Check the site, come and shop. UltimateDeckShop.com. Hit us right away for sponsorships or tell us if you want to collaborate. Let's go. Check us out on any social networks. Thank you for listening.